Today we will talk about the Sustainable Development Goals, number 3, good health and well-being, and number 12, responsible consumption and production. Ensure the SDG are a collection of 17 global sets by the UN. The broad goals are interrelated through each has its own target to achieve. These include poverty, zero hunger, health, education, climate change, etc. Good health and well-being. What is that? To ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for at all ages. Why? Ensuring healthy lives and life promoting well-being for at all ages is important to building prosperous society. The target by 2030 reduced by 1/3 premature mortality from non-communicable disease through prevention and treatment and promote mental health and well-being. How do we tackle this? All physical and cultural barriers must be renewed to create society that provides real opportunity for everyone everywhere. For example, to the relative reduction in mean population intake of salt and sodium, prevalence of current tobacco use among adolescents, age standardizes the prevalence of current tobacco use among persons at age of 80 plus. How can we tackle the health and well-being? Connection with the people around you, be active, early childhood intervention, school mental health programs, violence prevention programs, housing policies, community development programs, early childhood intervention, mental health intervention in the workplace, social support for the elderly and young people, and programs targeted for vulnerable groups. For the good health of well-being, we have two indicators, and the first one is maternal death, lifetime risk per thousand. This is just the death of women while being pregnant or within 42 days of the termination of pregnancies, irrespective of the duration and site of the pregnancy from any cause related to or aggravated by the pregnancy or management, but not from accidental or incidental causes. To calculate the maternal mortality ratio, we divided recorded number of maternal deaths by total recorded numbers of live births in the same period and multiply by 100,000. And the second indicator is alcohol consumption per adult 50 plus. This is just the amount of alcohol consumed per adult at the age of 15 and up. Alcohol consumption can be measured in equivalent liters of pure alcohol, drug alcohol, ethanol consumption per capita per year. Here we have a scatter plot for 4 countries. From the first indicator, we had a country Niger, Suriname, Japan, and United Arab. If you look at closely, you see Niger is a very poor country with a very low income. Starting from 2005 to 2008, Niger first had a very high maternal death risk, but now they have a very low maternal death risk. You can say that they decrease. While in Suriname and Japan, Suriname and Japan are the middle class countries. Suriname, the maternal death increased a little bit, while in Japan and the United Arab, the maternal death just stay in one line. Here we have another scatter plot from the second indicator, alcohol consumption per adult 50 plus. We have again Niger, Suriname, Japan, and United Arab Emirates. We started again in the year 2005 until 2008. Niger is a very low country, very poor country, but their alcohol consumption stayed in one line. While in Suriname, again, it increased a little bit, while in Japan, it also stayed in one line. In United Arab Emirates is a very rich country here, and you see that their income decreased a little bit, and their alcohol consumption stay again in one line.
This is a chart of maternal death. Here you can see clearly the differences between poor and rich countries. Greece is a rich country, and it has most medical facilities. But Liberia is a poor country where you don't have much medical facilities, and the medical costs are high. That's why the poor countries have more maternal deaths than the rich countries.
This is the second chart, alcohol consumption per adult 15 plus. There you can see Afghanistan is at almost zero, and that's because it's illegal to drink alcohol in Afghanistan. Afghanistan is one of the 16 countries where alcohol consumption is illegal. And on the other hand, you see Belarus, where the alcohol rate is very high. That's because of they are called the nation of boozers. Basically, they live out of alcohol, you can say.
SDG 12, Responsible Consumption and Production. This is about promoting resource and energy efficiency, sustainable infrastructure, and providing access to basic services, green and decent jobs, and a better quality of life for all. Its implementation helps to achieve overall development plans, reduce future economic, environmental, and social costs, strengthen economic competitiveness, and reduce poverty. Sustainable consumption and production aims at doing more and better with less. This goal has one of the targets are by 2030 ensure that people everywhere have the relevant information and awareness for sustainable development and lifestyles in harmony with nature. Firstly, this target is all about green stuff. It focuses on environmental, not social sustainability. By mentioning harmony with nature, the target has landed squarely in carbon, water, waste, and biodiversity space. So we can't wait for billions of people to search for eco-friendly holidays or demand low-carbon crisp to mainstream sustainability. We need more companies to bring responsibly produced products to market and make a success of them. Choice editing means taking the decision on behalf of consumers. Crucially, companies regulated by governments are responsible for production, but consumers are the driver of consumption. Take the example of consumers buying Coca-Cola's new PET plastic bottle. It is made entirely from plant materials. Buyers are consuming sustainable without even realizing it. It can be used for a variety of packaging sizes and across water, sparkling, juice, and tea brands. So we do not need billions of people to have relevant information on lifestyles in harmony with nature. We need enough people to be aware to make a change in the market. The earth is a living system. To guarantee the human right to water, education, health, communication, transportation, energy, and sanitation, above all in the very poor and marginalized sectors, the provision of these services must be essentially public and based on efficient social management, not private business. States should ensure the right of their populations to proper nutrition by strengthening food sovereignty policies that promote a. Food production by farmers, peoples, and small agriculture producers. B. Access to land, water, seeds, credit, and other resources for family and community producers. Without water, there is no life. Humans and all living things have the right to water, but water also has rights. Forests are essential to the balance and integrity of planet Earth and a key element in the proper functioning of its ecosystems and a broader system of which we are a part. Thus, we cannot consider them as simple providers of goods and services for human beings. The protection, preservation, and of forests is required to re-establish the balance of the Earth system. It is essential to guarantee a real and effective reduction of greenhouse gases, particularly on the part of developed countries historically responsible for climate change.
SDG 12, Responsible Consumption and Production, has two indicators. One of them is CO2 emissions, tons per person. Carbon dioxide, CO2, is a colorless and non-poisonous gas formed by combustion of carbon and in the respiration of living organisms and is considered a greenhouse gas. Emissions means the release of greenhouse gases and or their precursors into the atmosphere over a specified area and period of time. To make an accurate calculation of the CO2 generated, you can enter the annual kilowatt hour used, or you can calculate it from your bills. To calculate it from your bills, first select how your gas is measured. If your bills don't say what the units are, you can probably find the unit on the meter. The second indicator is the CO2 intensity of economic output. Carbon intensity is the amount of carbon by weight emitted per unit of energy consumed. It is sometimes measured in pounds of carbon per megawatt hour. Output in economics is the quantity of goods or services produced in a given time period by a firm, industry, or country, whether consumed or used for further production. The concept of national output is essential in the field of macroeconomics. It is national output that makes a country rich, not large amount of money. High energy intensity means high industrial output as portion of income. Countries with low energy intensity signifies labor-intensive economy. So we put the first indicator of SDG 12 in Gapminder, and we took the four countries: Japan, Niger, United Arab Emirates, and Suriname. So you can clearly see that Japan, Niger, and Suriname are on one line, but United Arab Emirates are going up and down. That's because they are producing a lot of CO2. That's also because they are an oil producing country. That's why they have a lot of CO2 emissions. This is the second indicator of SDG 12, where you can see that Suriname has been going down. That's because we had a bauxite company, and that's closed now. That's why the CO2 intensity of economic output is going down. The United Arab Emirates is going in one line. That's because they produce oil. Japan is also same, and Niger is a, you can say, very poor country. This is the chart of the CO2 emissions, where you can clearly see that Kazakhstan is one of the countries that is the highest CO2 emissions. So that's because Kazakhstan is, you can say, their income is dependent on oil production. And Trinidad and Tobago, Russia, all of them are oil producing countries. So that's why these countries, the CO2 is very high. So this is the second chart, CO2 intensity of economic output, where you can see that Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and Trinidad and Tobago, who depends on the oil production. That's why the CO2 intensity of economic output is high. Because of the oil, the economic output is higher. In Bangladesh and Philippines, India, they don't produce so much CO2 intensity that affects their economic output. So that was our presentation. I hope you like it, and
I hope you
yes.
enjoy it.
Okay.